They found the ship half buried in the sand. A relic, the archaeologists insisted. A ruin, said the historians. A curiosity, muttered the soldiers. And then it lit up. Not all at once, not in a grand display of ancient majesty. No, the thing had the gall to cough itself awake like an old man rising from a chair. Lights flickered, dust puffed, and an ugly grinding sound rattled across the dunes. The gathered aliens, scientists, merchants, and opportunists, applauded politely, as if someone had just managed to start a very stubborn hovercart. Only one human was present. Lieutenant Marcus Vey, politely introduced as a cultural observer. He smiled warmly, even as his eyes tracked every hum, every spark, every warning glyph crawling across the ship's cracked hull. To the aliens, he looked harmless, soft-skinned, oddly tall, hands resting behind his back in a posture of deference. He already knew they'd made a mistake. The ship's voice broke the desert silence. Not in any living language, but in one that humanity recognized with a chill that ran bone deep. It wasn't words. It was cadence, intent, tone, the snarl of a predator announcing it was awake and very, very hungry. The aliens leaned in, curious, recording devices flashing. Fascinating, hissed a scholar of the Aranthe, his tendrils quivering. Perhaps a war vessel? Pre-diaspora. Marcus tilted his head slightly. Oh no, he said with that pleasant, dangerous calm that only humans manage when disaster walks through the door. Not a war vessel. A kennel. Confused blinking. Chittering. One avian diplomat cocked his head. A kennel. The ship stopped coughing and started breathing. Sand rolled away from its hull as buried engines coughed to life, spewing heat that turned the dunes to glass. Ancient metal groaned like a predator stretching after a long nap. Symbols crawled across its surface, forming something that looked suspiciously like teeth. Marcus remained very still, hands still politely folded. His smile didn't fade, though the corners of his eyes tightened. You've woken something that was meant to stay asleep. The aliens laughed nervously, in the way academics do when they think someone's being dramatic for flair. Lieutenant, surely you exaggerate. Humans usually do, Marcus admitted pleasantly. Then, softer, just not about predators. The ship spoke again. This time, the translation filters caught enough to render a phrase. It echoed across the desert like a death knell. Release protocol engaged. Hosts detected. Consumption imminent. The Aranthe scholar's frills folded flat. The avian diplomat clicked his beak nervously. The merchant guilders began packing up their scanners with forced cheer. Marcus finally unfolded his hands. His voice stayed light, conversational, almost apologetic. I did try to warn you. The ground split open. Something crawled out, skeletal, segmented, clad in shards of ancient armor. Its limbs clicked as it unfolded, stretching like a spider in slow motion. 6 eyes flared crimson as it turned toward the gathering, not out of recognition but simple biological certainty. Food. Chaos erupted. Shouts, screams, plasma discharges that sparked harmlessly against the creature's hide. Marcus sighed, rolled up his sleeves, and stepped forward. He had the air of a man about to fix a plumbing leak rather than confront a nightmare birthed from forgotten wars. All right then, he murmured. Let's dance. The creature lunged. Marcus moved faster. Too fast for something his species' reputation should allow. One moment he was standing casually in the sand, the next he was atop the creature's back, fingers probing the ridges of its armored spine. It shrieked, stumbled, and slammed itself against the ground in fury. The aliens froze, not because of the monster, but because of the human. He wasn't just surviving, he was directing, twisting, thinking. Every motion calculated, every strike placed not to kill, yet, but to test, to map weaknesses. Not bad, Marcus muttered cheerfully as he slid off its back, ducking under a claw the size of a hovercar. Bit slow on the left. Whoever designed you must have cut corners. Is he critiquing it? Squawked the avian diplomat in disbelief. Humans, whispered another alien, voice trembling. They're always critiquing things, even while they die. But Marcus wasn't dying. He was smiling, like a man who'd been handed a puzzle he'd secretly been waiting for. The creature reared back, 6 crimson eyes blazing. Marcus raised his hands in mock surrender. Fine, fine. No more jokes. His expression softened into something chillingly polite. But I'm afraid you're not the apex predator in this desert anymore. The fight ended quickly after that. Too quickly. Marcus found a gap, pried it open with something that looked suspiciously like a multi-tool, and in 3 precise motions shut the creature down in a wheezing heap of twitching limbs. Silence. The aliens stared, horrified, reverent, afraid. Marcus dusted off his hands, as if swatting away sand. Well, he said lightly, that was fun. But the ship wasn't done. More hatches opened, more claws scraped. The kennel hadn't held one beast. It had held thousands. And now they were waking, one after another. Marcus' smile thinned. His voice stayed calm, almost casual. Right. This may take a while. Word spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The humans woke the beasts. The humans fought them. The humans enjoyed it. Alien councils panicked. Species who dismissed Earth as quaint suddenly found themselves reviewing old archives. The records weren't flattering. A species that tamed fire, caged predators, hunted for sport long after necessity ended. A species that looked at death worlds and called them interesting vacation spots. And now that same species stood smiling in front of the galaxy's worst nightmares. One alien envoy, trembling, asked Marcus directly, "Why aren't you afraid?" Marcus leaned in with the kind of smile that belongs in both boardrooms and battlefields. His voice was low, polite, apologetic in the way a dagger is apologetic for slipping between ribs. "We grew up with monsters under our beds," he said. "And when they crawled out, we learned how to kill them. Politely, if we had to." The conflict escalated. What began as a desert incident became a planetary crisis. Entire nests of the ancient predators spilled into cities, devouring, corrupting, spreading. The aliens fought desperately, scattering. The humans, organized, calm, efficient, horrifyingly cheerful. Soldiers cracked jokes while planting demolitions. Civilians traded recipes while loading rifles. Engineers built traps that seemed playful until you realized they were mathematically perfect kill zones. And Marcus? He was everywhere. Smiling in strategy meetings. Laughing in the middle of firefights. Whispering reassurances to terrified allies while laying out plans that turned cities into mazes of slaughter for the other side. The galaxy began to understand. Humanity wasn't just adaptable. They were eager. Monsters woke in the sand, and humanity saw not despair but opportunity. The climax came when the kennel ship fully rose from the desert. No longer coughing and wheezing, but towering, bristling with weapons older than civilizations. It roared across the sky like a god of old nightmares. Alien fleets broke against it. Plasma and antimatter fire splashed like rain against its hull. Whole squadrons died buying time. Then Marcus arrived. Not in a warship. In a single shuttle, civilian pattern. He landed calmly on the creature ship's back, stepping out as though arriving for tea. His comms clicked open across every fleet channel. "Ladies, gentlemen, assorted tentacled nobility," he said cheerfully. "You've been fighting it wrong. Allow me to demonstrate." He walked into the ship like it was his living room. Systems flared. Alarms screamed. The beasts inside howled, tore through bulkheads, lunged at him. He dodged with the ease of someone sidestepping puddles on a rainy street. And then he found the core. A pulsing, furious thing, half machine, half hive. Marcus knelt, set down his pack, and pulled out something laughably small, a lunchbox. He opened it. Inside was a thermonuclear device dressed up with hand-painted stickers. Smiley faces. A cat. The words "Have a nice day." He looked directly into the core's blazing eye. And smiled. Playtime's over. The explosion tore the sky apart. The kennel ship shattered, raining burning fragments into the desert. The beasts screamed, faltered, and died with their hive. Silence followed. Then the galaxy began whispering. The humans woke the monsters. The humans fought the monsters. The humans killed the monsters. And they smiled while doing it. Later, when Marcus was asked, by trembling diplomats, by furious generals, by desperate leaders, why humanity would risk waking something so terrible, he gave the same polite answer every time. "Oh, we didn't risk it," he said, sipping tea with infuriating calm. "You did. We just finished what you started." And then, with a smile sharp enough to draw blood, he added, "But I suppose we should thank you. We always did enjoy a good hunt." What no one noticed was the smallest fragment of the kennel ship, half buried far from the crash site. It pulsed faintly, whispering across the void. And somewhere deep in the cosmos, something answered.